welcome. So today I'm joined by a couple of guests who are not in Colorado, right? These are some referral partners out of Ogden, Utah.
Right.
Now, I got connected to Cory and Rhonda because I had a friend of mine that needed to buy in Ogden, Utah, and we'll get into his story, a little bit unique there, as he wasn't even living in the country at the time he needed to buy a home. Right. So presenting some unique challenges in the market that's absolutely there. Similar challenges to what we're seeing here in the Denver area. So Rhonda, Cory, I'd like for you guys to introduce yourself. I'd like to hear kind of in your own words, your background and how you ended up getting into real estate.
Okay. I'll let Cory start.
Sure. So we're originally from Michigan, the Upper Peninsula, and when we graduated high school, I went into the military. I was active duty for 21 years. So we left there and traveled all over the world. We did quite a we could talk about that for hours. So just kind of, that's what it is, right? We were active duty for 21 years. And then our last duty assignment was here at Hill Air Force Base, which is just outside of Ogden, Utah. So that's where we decided to retire out of, and then we decided to get into the real estate at that point.
Okay. Yeah, cool. So yeah, I'm sure 21 years in the military, there's a lot of stories to share. And as of late, I've just gotten into some books written by some folks in the military. Just finished "Can't Hurt Me," and an interesting story there from David Goggins and his journey. So Rhonda, how about you? Tell us your background.
So when Cory and I got married, we were 20, and I followed him all over the place. So finished my degrees, and then I've had various jobs. My last job before being a realtor, I was an auditor for the Air Force. So I did that for a long time. And then when Cory retired, he wanted to get into real estate. And I'll be honest with you, I really didn't want to do this full time. I didn't know a lot about it. So I said, you know what, I'm pretty happy working on base and I like what I do. So you go and do that while you're retired and I'm going to stay over here. And that didn't take very long. I started helping him a little bit and then got licensed because there's certain things you have to be licensed in order to do. And next thing you know, I resigned from my job there. And then I've been doing this full time ever since. So right about the time that I resigned from my position with the audit agency, Cory took over as the team leader of our local market center. So he did that for about 3 years. And then when he stepped out of that role, we just became working full time as a team. Because as you know, when you're a team leader, there's not a whole lot of extra time. So that was mostly me. And then when he jumped out of that, it was great because then we can do this together full time. And that's been, let's see, you retired 9 years ago. So yeah, so that's been great.
Yeah, and for those that are watching the video and not familiar with the team leader role, really kind of tasked with growth of the office, with helping agents grow their business. Think of kind of general manager of a business, right? But specifically of an office location. A lot demands on that position, and it's truly one that takes a lot of strong leadership talent. So. And from what I was reading in your bio, Cory, right, it actually helped kind of grow the productivity out of that office during your time as the team leader.
That's correct. Yeah, we went from about 80 agents to about 150, and there's a lot to do with training, coaching, recruiting. There's a whole lot of fun stuff that you take care of when you're in that position.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so, and, as we talk about real estate now, I'm, seems like one of the rare, I'm a Colorado native. I was born and raised here, born in Denver. And, I hear a lot of my friends and people that I know complain about this real estate market we're in, and just, it all has to do with legalized marijuana. It's all pot, and that's the culprit of it. And these potheads need to go home, right? Some people seem to be a little bitter about that. My perspective is that's not actually what's caused this. In fact, as a little kid, I remember, hearing my grandparents and my parents talk about, the people moving in from out of state. It's just always been a transplant state. So your market there in Ogden, Utah, isn't much different from what I understand. We're seeing rapidly increasing prices. And tell us a little bit about what's going on in your market there in Ogden.
Oh my goodness. Well, in the last, I've really seen an increase. It's been years, kind of like building, but this is exploded just this last couple of months. It's interesting, the clients that you referred to us were from Germany. We had 3 people from Germany in a row. So we were kind of helping them all move here. And I can tell a difference from the people that closed in February to the people that closed in April. I mean, it's changing every month. So to give you a couple examples, just on our listings, we'll have 20, sometimes 20, 30 offers on a listing. We put an offer for a buyer the other day. We were told they had 40 offers. So it doesn't have anything to do with legalized marijuana because we're in Utah. So it has absolutely nothing to do with that here. I think it's a huge, it's a combination of low interest rates, so many people moving here. That's another thing that we've noticed with our listings. When we're going through offers and just from talking to the other agents, they'll mention my clients we've had people moving from Illinois, a lot of California, a lot of Idaho. Virginia. Actually, we've had a few.
From Texas.
Yeah, it's interesting. But yes, the demand is just unreal. So.
Yeah, pretty crazy. And right, to recap, you said 40. That's 40 offers on one property.
I did hear of a property in Salt Lake. I was not party to this transaction. We were not one of the offers, but I heard there were 96 offers. So I can't even comprehend the agent having to go through those, because when we go through our offers, we've got a very detailed spreadsheet. We go through all sorts, and it's very time consuming to go through all those offers and take in, everything into consideration. So I can't imagine 96 or whatever.
It's really time consuming just to do 20 or 30, let alone 100. That's nuts. So.
Yeah. To go through 5 is time consuming, right? There's a lot of pages to the contract. I'm assuming in Utah it is here, and a lot of details to go through, and overwhelming for a seller and for a buyer through that.
It really is. And I think the reason, every month we're seeing an increase, because I've seen comps on certain properties go up 40,000 in 2 months, because the neighbor sells and that happened to go 60,000 over. That's the new comp for the new neighbor that wants to sell, and it just keeps going. In addition, when buyers are out there and they get beat by putting in these crazy good offers in the normal market, they would be crazy offers in the normal market, and they're not even in the running, they get even more aggressive the next time. So you can tell the buyers that have been in the market for a little while, because they know, I need to put everything I have on this offer in order to get it accepted.
Yeah, and we kind of feel that from the agent that's representing the buyer too, right? That phone call when they pick up and they're like, we're just tired of playing the game. Yeah. How do we make it stop?
Yeah.
So for those that are watching, if you're discouraged about the market, how it's going here in Denver, Ogden, Utah is not worldly different as far as the market. And I'm just going to throw this one out there, jumping without a safety net. So if you don't have the exact number, that's okay. But ballpark, average home price in the area there in Ogden, Utah.
Just in Ogden, I know Weber County off the top of my head. Average or median? Well, I can tell you this. Yeah, I can tell you this. When we started in 2012, it was 165, and now we're seeing properties 3-bed, 1-bath going for 340. So not even. We've got a lot of buyers that first want to move here and they say, I need a 2-car garage, and I need a fenced yard, and I want 2.5 baths. And then they see what's out there and they're like, oh, okay, I need to reevaluate here. So
sticker shock.
Yeah, it's gone up. Different pockets, of course, but several different areas have gone up 20-25% in a year. So that's crazy. I think the average is maybe 15 right now. I'd have to double check the numbers, but I know some places are, upwards of 20% and stuff.
And the previous 3 years was just about 10%. So it's been a pretty upward trend around here.
Yeah, a lot of things going up and moving fast. So now with your production, right? And you guys help a lot of families buy and sell homes. It's not just hey, we help one family maybe a month. You guys are in it and helping quite a few people.
Right. We were 82 last year. So we do help a lot of people, and every single person, they're not just a number to us by any means. Every single person has a story, and we know their stories and they're important to us. So it's heartbreaking when we have these buyers that don't get their offers accepted. But the good news is we tell our buyers is be persistent. We will get you one. So.
Yeah. Well, and I think right off the bat, when Rhonda, when you and I had a phone call conversation about my friend who is moving to the area, right? It felt that deeply on my side, right? That you guys care a lot about what's happening with your clientele, and it's not just a transaction. This isn't a machine that's just moving forward. That you really dive down deep into who they are, and you know, they become really, I'm assuming, clients for life.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, the people that you sent to us, he just texted me this morning just asking a random question for, you know, things to do around the area and things like that. I mean, we were invited to their house right when they got here. I mean, things we get involved in their lives. So
yeah,
it means a lot.
Well, let's talk about Brandon's story. So, you know, Brandon, I've known his family for quite a few years, actually, before I got into real estate. They're big into motorcycles, and I was at a Harley dealership here in Colorado at the time, and
cool.
you know, him and I had a Facebook conversation, and he asked, you know, kind of seemed out of frustration. He said, "Hey, can you help me buy a house in Utah?" And I said, "Well, my license doesn't allow me to, but I have you know, some great folks that I can get you connected to. Where specifically are you moving?" And that kind of started the conversation. And then come to find out through that dialogue, he had been kind of working with another agent that maybe got frustrated with the market, just kind of threw their hands up and stopped returning his calls or emails or messages. And that's unfortunate. So, you know, reached out to you guys and kind of shared a little bit about that background, but in a unique scenario, as he was stationed overseas, not even in town, right, looking for a home. So share with us a little bit about that journey as you got connected with Brandon.
Okay, so I'm a planner just by nature. So when Brandon called me and told me his timeline, I kind of choked a little bit and thought, oh my gosh, we need to get out now. We need to find them a place because they have pets. They're coming from overseas. They really, and with quarantine, the Air Force, depending on the organization, sometimes they do have you quarantined for 14 days before. They didn't want to do that in a hotel. So I knew, okay, we need to get out there. We need to get out there quickly. So we had him speak to our local lender just to make sure that, you know, he was getting a great deal. We just worked with some great lender partners, and she set him up and said, he's 100% ready to go. So we started looking. Kind of funny. There was a house literally across the street from us. I can see the roof line. So when that one listed, I sent it to him and he said, oh my gosh, we love it. I said, well, you guys seem cool. You'd be our neighbors. So we ran over there. We put in a very strong offer. I don't recall off the top of my head, but I think that one ended up going for 50 or 60 more than asking. So we were beat out of that one. But I was in such close communication with him. I knew his work schedule. He knew mine, even with the time difference. So we communicated mostly on Facebook Messenger. So he would send me a message, hey, what about this house? What about this house? I would run out video. So I kind of got to know him and his wife just over video. And Cory and I would take them out. And they were writing very strong offers. But again, we do have some buyers with cash, and even if they're not all cash, some buyers do swoop in with, you know, half down or whatever, and the seller sees that as a stronger offer, so they end up taking that. So we got beat out. But from an agent in my office, I saw that they had listed a property and it did need some work, and I was very upfront with him about that when we were walking through the house. I said, this one does need some work, and told him about the area, videoed the neighborhood for them. And this is something we do a lot. We have a lot of clients that buy sight unseen, so that's something we're familiar with. So kind of walked them through that. I wanted them to be comfortable with the process. And long story short, 15 offers, we ended up getting it. So that was super exciting for them. And there were a couple hiccups along the way. That property happened to have solar with a loan on it, and that just comes with a lot of red tape, for lack of a better word. There's a lot of going back and forth with the solar company, and we worked through all that. They got into town. And actually what happened is he sent me a message and said, well, I guess when we get into town, we'll get a taxi and we'll just go to our hotel. And Cory and I are like, well, he said taxi. He hasn't been to the States in a long time. We were like, we need to pick him up. So I told him about Uber and Lyft.
They didn't know what Uber was.
Yeah. So
way too long.
At the airport. And it was really cool. I mean, just meeting them, I felt like we already knew them because we were already videoing with them and in such close communication the whole time. And I think the timeline, I believe we started in January, the very end of January, if I remember right. And originally he was supposed to be here the first week of March. So that's why I was like, oh my goodness, we need to get out there quickly. I think his date was extended a week or two, but he ended up closing. I think it was the day that he flew in. So he signed his paperwork, express mailed everything back, and I think we got it and they recorded the day they got here. So that was pretty cool. So that worked out great. They had to do all new flooring, painting. They're working on that now, and they're just super excited to make it there. So that was...
I had to stay in a hotel for a few days because I had to wait for the people to get out and all that stuff. So it was interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, but they're pretty close to us too, actually. They're just a couple miles away. So yeah, and I think Cory met his parents even. He went over there to kind of chat with them when the parents came into town. So that was cool.
Yep.
But yeah, it was stressful because I take this, I lose sleep over these things. I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm like, oh my goodness, they're not going to have a place to live. We need to find something. We need to get out there. And yeah, if we were persistent and he was persistent, and we got him something. So
yeah, and that's it's so huge. And you know, my sister-in-law and her husband, he's in the Air Force. They just moved back here from England, and unfortunately, they did have to live in a hotel for an extended amount of time, and then it was an Airbnb for months before they could move into their home. You know, so to line up that timing is not an easy thing, and to be able to coordinate all of this. There's so many moving parts that it's really amazing, right? A skill, right? That not everybody, not every agent can do when we take a look at the logistics on how we actually make this happen.
Yeah, there's a lot of behind the scenes things that people don't see. That's definitely true. A lot of moving parts. So.
Well, my time in this, and this rang true with my previous life in the motorcycle dealership. When you're doing it really well, on the outside it looks easy, but there's a lot of things that are going on in the background. And Cory, I'm sure, right? 21 years in the military, being a team leader, I'm assuming, right, you could echo the same sentiment.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. There are a lot of things that go into a transaction. I know we broke them all down one time to go from actually making a phone call, the initial one, all the way to the closing table. And it was like 94 different things that we could think of that go into a transaction.
Different tasks.
Just to give you an idea of some of the tasks on the backside that people don't understand.
Yeah. Well, and communication back to me was fantastic, right? This is somebody that I know his parents well. So always that concern for me, right? When I put my name out on the line, I want to make sure that's going well. And
it's a reflection on you. Yeah.
It was fantastic to hear the updates from you guys as to what was going on and the timeline for them. And it was really comforting to know that we're solution based, right? We're seeing the problems that are coming up. We're finding solutions, and we cared about the ultimate timeline and getting it done, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we thank you again for sending them to us because they're special people to us. So
cool.
Yeah, it's good, right? And want to continue that relationship. I don't always have people moving from Germany to Ogden, Utah, but you know,
been a couple lately. Yeah, like I said, we had 3 in a row, pretty much.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So when we take a look just kind of at your real estate market there in Ogden, if we were to take a look at something you would want, you know, folks from out of state maybe to know or to realize, what are some really great reasons maybe to move to Ogden, some cool things unique to the area?
There's probably too many to list in this short time period that we have, but I'll take a few of them.
Yeah.
So first of all, if you're looking to invest or if you're looking to do any of that kind of stuff, it's tremendous for that because our values are on the way up, right? So that's a nice thing to have. On a totally different note, recreation here is amazing. You can do anything pretty much in Utah that you want. You can hike and fish and hunt and camp and
ski.
Obviously, you know, there's just some of the best ski resorts in the world. So yeah, there's a little bit of everything to do here as far as that's concerned. I don't know.
And for me, I mean, when we first moved here, Cory was still with the Air Force, and we knew he had to do, I think it was a year or two until he retired. And my initial thought when we got orders here, we didn't plan on it. In fact, we heard Utah and I was a little freaked out for a second there. We came from Texas and I thought for sure, okay, we'll go here, we'll finish out his time and we'll go back to our house in Texas because I loved it there. We got here, I think it was like the first day or the second day, I said, oh my gosh, I don't want to leave here. I absolutely love it. And of all the places we've been, and really we could pick up and move anywhere, and I would choose to stay here. So, I mean, I think it's fantastic.
The mountains are awesome. The
Yeah.
people are good. The Four Seasons is a big deal to us because we came from Upper Michigan where it's pretty much winter and a couple of days of summer. So we're used to giant snowfalls and all that kind of stuff.
And then we had the other extreme too. When we lived in Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas for years. So I think we spent 10 or 11 years in the Southwest combined. So that extreme too, we love this because you do, like Cory said, you have 4 strong seasons here. You know, and I don't want to scare people from the market either. I think when we have a new buyer, we educate them. And we're very upfront. I had one buyer ask me, well, just tell me, just be honest with me, how long is it going to take me? And I think I told him, buckle up, because it could be your first offer and it literally could be your 20th. Yeah. But we'll get you an offer. And there's nothing we can do. You know, as a buyer, we just tell them how to present their strongest offer. And if someone beats us, someone beats us. But you have to go in with your strongest.
Yeah. How competitive do you want to be? That's the most important question. So. Yeah.
Well,
so anyways, that's a little bit about Utah. The economics here are nice too. They're really great state for small businesses and that kind of thing. Lowest usually where they're very best in unemployment and those kind of things too. So,
the climate's pretty similar to the Denver metro area, right? We're not looking at extremes for humidity and
no, hardly any at all. Hardly any. And then speaking of employment, the base has more civilians than it does active duty. So there's a lot of civilian positions there too. So,
well, it really does sound like a fantastic place to spend, right? And I think if I were to talk my wife into moving anywhere, I couldn't get her to go any further north. Maybe if we went west, Utah might be a consideration.
Give us a call. Yep.
She'd love it here. It's a neat place, that's for sure. It's you know, there's a lot of old things to look at too. People like historical stuff. This is where the railroads met and all that kind of stuff. So there's just, like I said, you could pretty much do an entire show on things to do in Utah.
Yeah. Well, and you mentioned this, and it's something that I appreciate because we try to do this as well. And it's not trying to scare people out of the market, but it is giving them a reality as to what's going on. Because if we're going to compete, we have to understand the rules that we're playing by today in order to compete at that level.
Right.
And certainly we don't want to scare anybody away from making a decision. If you're moving from out of the country, you need a place to live, and staying in a hotel might not be the ideal. So buying a home is a good move, right?
Right. And we tell buyers too, every once in a while you'll get somebody that says, hey, I just want a deal. In this market, getting a property under contract and closed is getting a deal. Okay. Sometimes by the time you close, the values have already gone up. If another property in the comp area has closed in that meantime, so and I would much rather, just speaking from experience over the years, pay a mortgage than pay someone else's. I'd rather pay mine. And that's what we tell people as well. If they're coming here, depending on their price point, this may not be their dream home, their forever home, but it could be a fantastic investment. So as long as the market keeps doing what it's doing, that's our disclaimer. And we don't see a change in that. In fact, we see more demand as time goes on.
Right. Owning real estate overall has proved to be a good investment, right? Whether that's your primary house or you have rental properties. And I think when we look at the value, somebody's net worth for somebody that's a homeowner versus somebody that's a renter, what a massive difference that does. And how many options does that provide somebody to do something with later, right?
Right.
Whether it's a cash out refinance, a home equity line of credit, they can sell it, they can keep it as a rental, they can stay there and do whatever they want with it, right?
Yep,
they have more freedom.
Exactly.
So, good. Well, as we wrap this up, I think, the last thing that I just want to ask is, when it comes to your, your partnership, your marriage in real estate, what would you like to share with, those that are watching just about, what it takes for, or what's unique about your situation there with real estate as it relates to your team, right? That partnership.
Well, kind of like I mentioned at the beginning, when we have a client, we take them on. They're not a transaction to us by any means. We take on their personal situation. Their timing is super important to us, and we want to do everything we can that's always in their best interest. So that's really what's important to us. Obviously, we work together. We don't have real formal, we don't have a job description or anything, but usually what happens is it'll just seem naturally one of us will connect more with a client. And in this case, Brandon and I just started talking on Facebook, and then just kind of went from there. And every once in a while, Cory will have another client and they just want to call him all the time. That's just, we're fine with that. We want the client to be comfortable, and kind of whoever clicks with them is great. We've got us, and then we have John, who works with us if we're unable to get to a property, because that's another thing. Time is of the essence. So if a property hits the market, we have a buyer that wants to see it, we drop what we're doing and we get them there. Even if the listing says, oh, we're going to wait 4 days to accept offers, I've seen that change. So we want to get them in and get the offer done right away. So we make sure that our clients are taken care of.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate your time. And I know that you guys are busy and productive, and you have lives obviously outside of real estate. But I so appreciate the conversations that we've had here over the last couple of months as I've gotten to know more about you, and jumping on this here with us, because I think it's an interesting conversation for folks to hear about what's going on in other parts of the country, and just hear about the stories and the solutions that we can help create for folks, when given the opportunity. So.
Right. Well, thank you for asking us.
Yeah, much
we appreciate it.
So for anybody that's in the Ogden area that might be watching, right, is Brandon's starting to get some friends. If they're watching, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
We have a website, Utah Dream Properties. We're also on YouTube, and we can probably throw our number up there too.
Yeah, you can call us or email us. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
Okay.
More people do.
So it's Utah Dream Properties.
UtahDreamProperties.com. Yep. And then Cory's number is 801-821-9400.
400. Perfect. Well, again, thank you so much. I appreciate your time, and for sure, anybody that's heading out to Ogden, they're getting you're going to be getting a call from me. So.
Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate it, and the same goes for you.
All right, y'all. Well, you enjoy the rest of the week, and have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You too.
Have a good day.
Okay.
Thanks, y'all.
Bye.